Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we're diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. No more waiting, let's jump right into the story. Deep in the forests of the ninja world, Team 7 was on the move, darting through the trees like shadows with a mission to deliver a sealed scroll to the Sand Village. Harano Sakura led the pack, her pink hair flashing in the sunlight as she leaped from branch to branch. She was focused, determined, but her teammates, not so much. Naruto. Sasuke. Hurry up already, she snapped, her voice echoing through the canopy. If I have to cover for you two again, I swear I'll lose it. Naruto Uzumaki trailed behind, his orange jumpsuit a bright blur as he grinned ear to ear. Relax, Sakura-chan. We're right here, believe it, he called, though his mind was clearly wandering, probably to a steaming bowl of Ichiraku ramen. He hopped onto a branch, nearly slipping but catching himself with a chuckle. Sasuke Uchiha, cool and composed, kept pace beside him, his dark eyes scanning the path ahead. TCH. Stop shouting, Sakura, he said, his voice edged with annoyance. You're the one slowing us down. Sakura's temper flared, her fists balling up as she landed on another branch. Slowing you down? Keep talking, Sasuke, and I'll knock you both into next week. She sprang forward, determined to prove her point, but the universe had other plans. The branch beneath her groaned, then snapped with a sharp crack. Whoa! Sakura yelped as she plummeted, leaves swirling around her. Naruto's eyes widened in panic. Sakura-chan, he shouted, diving after her without a second thought. Sasuke was right behind, his Sharingan flaring red as he reached out, fingers brushing the air where she'd been. Before either could grab her, a dazzling light exploded around them, swallowing the trio whole. The forest vanished, replaced by a dizzying whirl of colors that churned their stomachs. Sakura's scream faded into silence, Naruto's yell cut off mid-breath, and Sasuke's cool facade cracked as they were hurled across dimensions. Meanwhile, in a sleepy town called Bellwood, three teens were on their own kind of mission. Ben Tennyson, hero of 1,000 alien battles, trudged through a field with his cousin Gwen and their friend Kevin Levin trailing behind. Kevin, leaning against his green muscle car, yawned loudly. Yo, Ben, shouldn't we be chasing actual aliens or something? This is boring. Ben adjusted the Omnitrix on his wrist, a grin tugging at his lips. Chill, Kevin. I've got a gut feeling about this spot. Something's up, I can tell. He glanced around, then frowned. Wait, where's Gwen? Over here. Gwen's voice rang out from a clearing nearby. And you guys gotta see this. Ben and Kevin jogged over, curiosity piqued. Gwen stood over three crumpled figures sprawled in the grass, looking like they'd just fallen out of the sky. Naruto groaned first, clutching his head as he sat up. Ow, my skull. What hit me, Databia? His blue eyes blinked open, landing on Ben, Gwen, and Kevin. Who are you guys? Gwen's hands glowed with pink energy, her stance wary. Better question, who are you? And what's with the costumes? She nodded at Naruto's orange getup, Sasuke's dark cloak, and Sakura's red outfit. Kevin snickered, crossing his arms. Yeah, dude, you look like you walked out of a comic book convention. Naruto jumped to his feet, puffing out his chest. Costumes. These are ninja threads, believe it? I'm Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage. His outburst woke the others. Sakura stirred, rubbing her temples with a scowl. Naruto, quit yelling, she muttered, then froze as she noticed their new surroundings. Sasuke was already up, his piercing gaze locked on the trio. Where are we? He demanded, his hand twitching toward his kunai pouch. Ben stepped forward, unfazed. Name's Ben Tennyson. This is my cousin Gwen and our buddy Kevin. You're in Bellwood, and you're definitely not from around here. Before Sakura could respond, she caught Kevin staring at her hair. What? She snapped. He raised an eyebrow. That pink? It's real. Huh. Sakura's cheeks flushed, but she held her ground. Yes, it's natural. Okay. Got a problem with it? Before things could escalate, a deafening boom shook the ground. Alien! Ben shouted, slapping the Omnitrix. With a flash of green, he transformed into Spider Monkey, his furry blue form bounding toward the noise. Gwen and Kevin exchanged a glance and took off after him. Naruto's jaw dropped. Did that guy just turn into a monkey? He pumped his fist. Awesome. We gotta help, Databia. Sakura smirked, a spark of excitement in her eyes. Let's move, Naruto. Sasuke said nothing, but his swift sprint spoke for him as Team 7 chased the action. The source of the explosion wasn't far. A crater smoldered in the field, and at its center stood a figure that looked suspiciously like Ben's grandpa Max. But something was off. Spider Monkey skidded to a halt, narrowly dodging a sharp, glinting projectile that whizzed past his head. Whoa, watch it, dude, he chattered, his fur bristling with static. Gwen arrived, her hands glowing brighter, while Kevin touched his car, his skin morphing into sleek green metal. All right, who's throwing pointy stuff? He growled. Naruto, not one for caution, barreled forward and wham-slammed face first into Kevin's now metal back. Gah! My nose, he wailed, clutching his face. I think it's gone, Databia. Kevin turned, smirking. Nice going, ninja boy. Maybe watch where you're running next time. Sakura shoved past, glaring at Kevin. Lay off him and focus on your friend. She knelt beside Naruto, her hands glowing with soft green chakra. In seconds, the blood stopped, and Naruto's nose was good as new, leaving Gwen and Kevin staring. Whoa, Gwen whispered. What was that? Sasuke, standing apart, scoffed. Baka, he muttered, eyeing Naruto. Kevin caught it and bristled. What did you call him? Sasuke's gaze was ice cold. Idiot. In my language. Got a problem. Kevin rolled his eyes but let it slide, turning back to the crater where Spider Monkey was dodging more attacks. Gwen's eyes widened as she spotted the figure in the crater. Grandpa Max, she called, but Sakura grabbed Kevin's shoulder, her grip firm. That's not your grandpa, she said, her voice low and certain. Kevin frowned, confused, but before he could argue, the figure laughed a chilling, inhuman sound. Clever girl, it hissed, and its form warped, stretching into a massive spider with gleaming red eyes. Gwen clenched her fists, her pink aura flaring, but she held back, memories flooding in. Years ago, her father had sat her down, his face serious. Gwen, your powers are a gift, but if you lose control, we'll have no choice but to send you to train with your mom far away. She'd nodded, the weight of his words carving a permanent caution into her heart. Now, facing this monster, she forced herself to stay calm. The spider lunged, its legs stabbing at Spider Monkey, but Ben was too fast, swinging between them with acrobatic flips. Naruto, back on his feet, cracked his knuckles. All right, ugly, let's see how you like a shadow clone jutsu. He formed hand signs, but before he could finish, a strange sensation hit him like his chakra was fizzling out. Huh? What's wrong with me? He gasped, staggering. Sasuke swayed too, his eyes narrowing. Something's off, he muttered, clutching his head. Sakura rushed to them, her heart racing. Naruto. Sasuke. But then the same dizziness hit her, a wave of nausea that made the world tilt. Gwen caught her arm. What's happening to them? She asked, worry creasing her brow. Sakura fought to stay upright, her voice strained. It's this place, our chakra's not working right. We're used to our world's energy, but here? It's like breathing underwater. We need to adjust, or, her words trailed off as she collapsed beside her teammates, the three ninjas out cold in an alien world. Hours ticked by 9, to be exact, under a sky that had turned velvet black, lit only by a glowing full moon. Sakura stirred first, her head pounding like she'd taken a chidori to the skull. She sat up slowly, wincing, and found herself on a cliff overlooking a dense forest. The air was cool, unfamiliar, and carried a faint hum of something mechanical. Her green eyes scanned the darkness until they landed on a figure leaning against a rock, his dark hair catching the moonlight. Kevin Loving glanced over as she approached, his usual smirk softer now. Sleeping Beauty's finally up, huh? You been out for 9 hours. Sakura blinked, shocked. 9 hours? Seriously? She joined him, gazing at the moon. It's like making her pale skin almost ghostly. For a moment, neither spoke, the silence heavy with questions neither knew how to ask. Kevin stole a glance, struck by how her pink hair seemed to glow, but he shoved the thought away. Focus, man. You don't even know her. Sakura broke the quiet, turning to check on Naruto and Sasuke, still sprawled nearby. A mischievous grin crept across her face. She crouched beside them, her fingers finding precise pressure points. With a quick press, both boys jolted awake, yelling in unison. I love you, Hinata-chan. Naruto blurted, then froze, his face tomato red. Sasuke, mortified, muttered something about a rat named Cal before glaring daggers at Sakura. She giggled, standing with a smug look. Oh, this is gold. Blackmail City, here I come. Kevin raised an eyebrow, amused but curious. What's that about? Sakura just smirked, glancing back at the moon. Let's just say I know too much now. Kevin nodded, catching the hint secret stayed secret, especially in a strange world like this. Naruto, still blushing, pumped his fist. All right, Databia. Time to figure out where we are. Sasuke smacked him on the head. Idiot. Keep it down. Before they could plan, footsteps pounded toward them. Ben Tennyson sprinted up, out of breath, his brown hair a mess. Guys, it's bad, he panted. Kevin's smirk vanished. What's up, Tennyson? Ben's eyes were wide with panic. It's Gwen, she's gone. Kevin's face darkened. What do you mean, gone? Ben threw his hands up. Gone, like, poof. I don't know, man. Naruto tilted his head. That the girl with the glowy hands. Ben and Kevin nodded, and Sasuke, arms crossed, sneered. What? She too weak to handle herself. Like her. He jerked his thumb at Sakura. Sakura's jaw tightened, her flashing in her eyes before she masked it with a scowl. Watch it, Sasuke, she hissed. Naruto jumped in, fists clenched. Hey, Sakura-chan's not weak, and neither's Gwen. Back off, team. Kevin stepped forward, his metal sheen fading as he sized up Sasuke. You're a real charmer, huh? Keep talking, pretty boy. Sasuke's hand twitched toward his blade, but Sakura had had enough. All of you, shut up, she roared, slamming her foot down. The ground cracked, sending tremors through the cliff. Ben's jaw dropped. Okay, are you guys aliens? Naruto and Sasuke stared at him like he'd sprouted wings. Aliens? Naruto laughed. No way, those aren't real. You guys eating weird mushrooms or what? Ben, offended, bopped him on the head. Not real. Dude, you're in my world now, and aliens are, like, my day job. Kevin snorted, eyeing their outfits. Yeah, and where we're from, People don't dress like they're auditioning for a samurai flick. Sasuke's glare could have cut steel. We're ninjas, moron. Our world's nothing like this place. He muttered under his breath, something about slugs, snakes, and Naruto's stupid sexy jutsu. Naruto perked up, oblivious. Heh, yeah, like that time Orochimaru got all creepy with Sasuke. Good thing me, Sakura-chan, and Kakashi-sensei were there, or Sasuke's elbow to his ribs shut him up fast. The argument was cut short by a rustling in the trees below. Sakura's senses sharpened. She felt it before she saw it, a pulse of wrongness in the air. Something's coming, she warned, her hand on a kunai. Ben's Omnitrix beeped, and he grinned. Round 2. Huh. Let's see what this baby can do. He twisted the dial, but Naruto beat him to it. His eyes locked on his wrist where a strange, glowing device now sat, the Omnitrix, but different, pulsing with an orange energy that screamed chakra. Whoa, what's this? He exclaimed, poking it. Naruto, don't. Sakura started, but too late. He slammed the dial, and in a burst of light, Naruto transformed not into a Ben 10 alien, but something new, a fox-like creature with 9 glowing tails, claws crackling with chakra-infused energy. Whoa, Databia. I'm, like, super cool now, he roared, his voice echoing with power. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, a mix of suspicion and envy, while Sakura gaped. Naruto, you idiot, what did you do? Before they could process it, the trees exploded outward, revealing a swarm of robotic drones, their red eyes locked on the group. Hostile entities detected, they droned, weapons charging. Kevin cracked his knuckles, absorbing the cliff stone to bulk up. Great. More party crashers. Gwen, wherever she was, wasn't here to help, and the stakes were climbing fast. Naruto, still in his 9 tails alien form, grinned like a kid in a candy store. All right, let's test this thing out. He launched forward, tails whipping as he smashed through drones like paper. Sakura sighed but drew her kunai, leaping into the fray with a precision that left Kevin whistling. Sasuke's blade flashed, slicing through metal with deadly grace, though he kept one eye on Naruto's new power. Ben, back as Spider Monkey, webbed up drones left and right, shouting, Yo, ninja guys, you're not half bad. The battle was chaos. Sparks flew, metal crunched, and Naruto's roars shook the ground. But as Sakura dodged a laser, she noticed something odd about the Omnitrix on Naruto's wrist. It wasn't just glowing, it was pulsing in sync with his chakra, like it was alive. Naruto, she yelled, blocking a drone's claw. That thing's not normal. Be careful. He just laughed, blasting another enemy with a chakra-charged tail. Careful, sporing, Sakura-chan. As the last drone fell, the group caught their breath, but the victory was short-lived. A low hum filled the air, and a massive shadow loomed overhead, a sleek, alien ship, its hull gleaming under the moonlight. Okay, Ben said, reverting to human form, that's not good. Naruto's fox form flickered, the Omnitrix beeping wildly as he reverted to, looking dizzy. Ugh, what's with this thing? He groaned. Sakura's mind raced. They were stuck in a world they didn't understand, with Naruto wielding a device that could either save them or doom them all. Sasuke's silence was louder than ever, his thoughts unreadable. And Gwen's absence gnawed at them. Where was she, and what did these aliens want? One thing was clear, Team 7 and Ben's crew were in way over their heads, and the real fight was just beginning. The argument between the ninjas and Ben's crew was heating up under Bellwood's starry sky, with Naruto's loudmouth energy clashing against Kevin's sarcasm like a kunai on steel. Sasuke, as usual, stood apart, his dark eyes glinting with disdain. He muttered under his breath, barely loud enough for anyone to catch, our world's nothing like this. Summoning slugs, snakes, frogs, psychos, gorilla guys, and Naruto's ridiculous jutsu that turns him into a woman. Not to mention snake freaks obsessed with my body. He sighed, staring at the ground, his face a mask of brooding silence. Naruto's sharp ninja ears picked up every word, and he nearly choked trying not to laugh. Whoa, Sasuke. Orochimaru really had a thing for you, didn't he? He cackled, clutching his sides. If me, Sakura-chan, and Kakashi-sensei hadn't shown up, you'd have been in big trouble, like, creepy snake guy trouble. Sasuke's glare could have burned a hole through a mountain. With a swift move, he grabbed Naruto by the collar and flung him into a nearby tree. Thud. Naruto hit the trunk, sliding down with a groan but still grinning like an idiot. Kevin, watching the chaos, smirked. Looks like you've got a stalker, pretty boy. He leaned against a rock, arms crossed, clearly enjoying Sasuke's annoyance. But his amusement faded fast. Wait, back to Gwen. She's still missing, and we're just standing here. Ben nodded, his earlier panic returning. Yeah, we gotta find her. She could be in trouble. Sakura, who'd been quietly fuming over Sasuke's jab at her, stepped forward. I'll go look, she said, her voice steady despite the sting of his words. Without waiting for approval, she sprinted into the forest, her pink hair a fleeting streak in the moonlight. Normally, she'd never be so reckless yelling for someone could give away her position, but this world had no chakra's signatures to track. She figured it was safe enough. Gwen, she called, her voice echoing through the trees. Gwen, where are you? A scream pierced the night, sharp and desperate. Sakura's heart lurched, and she poured on speed, dodging branches and leaping over roots. She rounded a massive boulder 5 times her size, jagged and ominous, and skidded to a halt, her breath catching. There was Gwen, dangling upside down from a tree, wrapped in slimy, writhing vines that pulsed like they were alive. The plant monster's tendrils slithered around her, hissing like a nest of snakes ready to devour their prey. Gwen's eyes were closed, her face pale, and Sakura's gut twisted. She wasn't moving. No time to think. Sakura yanked a shuriken from her pouch and hurled it with deadly precision, aiming for the thickest vine. But the creature was faster. A tendril whipped out, swatting the blade mid-air like it was nothing. The weed thing turned, its glowing, hungry eyes locking onto Sakura. She glared back, her green eyes blazing with defiance, but raw anger wasn't enough to scare this monster back to whatever dark hole it crawled from. Sakura dubbed behind a smaller boulder as a vine lashed out, aiming for her stomach. It missed by inches, slamming into the rock with a force that sent cracked spider webbing across it. The creature roared a guttural, tiger-like sound that made her ears ring. Sakura peeked out and saw Gwen stirring, her eyes fluttering open. Sakura! Gwen gasped, struggling against the vines. She was awake but weak, and Sakura knew she had to act fast. Drawing another shuriken, Sakura flipped sideways to another boulder, throwing the blade mid-air. It spun toward the creature, but again, a vine knocked it away. Before she could recover, a tendril shot forward, wrapping around her like a living net. No. Sakura grunted, slashing at it with her kunai, but the more she cut, the thicker the vines grew, tightening until she could barely move. They slammed her against a rock wall, the impact jarring her bones. Damn it, she hissed, fighting to stay focused as the net grew denser, blocking out the moonlight. Gwen's voice broke through the haze. Sakura, no. But Sakura felt something worse than the vines, a sticky, burning sensation seeping into her skin. The creature's slime was acidic, eating through her clothes and scorching her arms. She bit back a scream, her vision blurring as burn marks bloomed across her pale skin. Acid, she muttered, the word a curse. The pain was unbearable, like fire under her flesh, but she refused to give up. Gwen was counting on her, even if they were strangers in this messed up world. Gwen kept shouting, her voice hoarse. Sakura! Are you okay? She thrashed against the vines, but they were draining her strength, sapping her magic. Sakura could see it, Gwen's glow dimming, her movements sluggish. The creature wasn't eating her yet, and Gwen's mind raced. It's not eating me, because I'm not ready, she whispered to herself. Like a baby bird waiting for food. This thing's young, isn't it? Ugh, why am I talking to myself? The vines tightened, and she yelled louder, Ben. Kevin. Somebody. Miles away, Ben's head snapped up. Did you hear that? He asked, squinting into the darkness. Kevin frowned. Hear what? Ben shook his head, hands on his hips. I swear I heard my name. Naruto, rubbing his sore back from Sasuke's throw, perked up. Yo, maybe it's your friend. We gotta move, Dadabia. Sasuke stayed silent, but his eyes followed the direction of Ben's gaze, calculating. Back at the boulder, Sakura's mind was a storm of pain and determination. She couldn't let Gwen die, not here, not like this. Gritting her teeth, she reached into her pouch, fingers closing around an explosive tag. It reminded her of a desperate fight against Sasori, when she'd blown herself up to escape a trap. Here goes nothing, she muttered, slapping the tag onto the vines. Counting down 3, 2, 1, she braced herself. Boom. The explosion tore the net apart, flinging her backward. Her back slammed into the rock wall, a sharp stone grazing her spine. Blood trickled down, warm and sticky, but she ignored it. Scrambling to her feet, Sakura popped a soldier pill into her mouth, the chakra boost dulling the pain. She flipped backward as another vine lunged, pulling an explosive pouch from her belt. Thanks for the baseball lessons, Lee, she smirked, winding up like a pitcher. With a yell, she threw it hard, the pouch soaring straight into the creature's gaping maw. She sprinted toward Gwen, kunai flashing as she sliced through the vines holding her. Hang on, she shouted, grabbing Gwen by the collar and leaping clear. 3, 2. Boom. Sakura whispered. The explosion lit up the night, shredding the creature into smoldering bits. The shockwave sent both girls flying. Sakura hit the ground hard, her vision swimming as the soldier pill's effects faded. The burns and cuts screamed back to life, and she couldn't stay conscious. Sakura! Gwen cried, stumbling to her side. The once healed scars were raw again, blood pooling under her. Gwen's heart pounded. She barely knew this girl, but she'd risked everything to save her. Gwen staggered to her feet, running toward where she hoped the others were. She didn't make it far before Naruto, Sasuke, Ben, and Kevin appeared, their faces a mix of worry and relief. Where's Sakura? Sasuke demanded, his voice sharper than his blade. Before Gwen could answer, Naruto's shout cut through the air. Sakura-chan! They turned to see her crumpled on the ground, motionless. Naruto dropped to his knees, checking her pulse. She's alive, he breathed, relief washing over him. But his blue eyes blazed with anger. What the hell happened? Sakura wasn't there to answer, not really. Her mind was trapped somewhere else, a void of endless black. She spun around, searching for light, but found nothing. A voice whispered, cold and accusing. Why didn't you heal? Sakura whirled, kunai drawn, but no one was there. The voice grew louder, sharper. Why didn't you heal? She growled, what do you want? The darkness pressed closer, the voice now a scream that shook her bones. Why didn't you fight harder? It multiplied, thousands of voices chanting, you're weak. Weak. Her ears rang, a warm trickle of blood running down her neck. Shut up, she screamed, her voice raw. Leave me alone. With a gasp, Sakura bolted upright, sweat pouring down her face like she'd run a marathon. Her heart hammered as she took in her surroundings, a small, unfamiliar room with soft lights and a bed that wasn't hers. No forest, no vines, no team. Naruto? Sasuke, she called, her voice shaky. Silence answered. Panic surged, and she swung her legs off the bed, ignoring the ache in her spine. She couldn't sense chakra, nothing felt right. Stumbling to the door, she flung it open, stepping into a long hallway. Left or right? She didn't know, but standing still wasn't an option. The house was quiet, too quiet, and Sakura's ninja instinct screamed to stay sharp. She moved silently, her hand hovering over her pouch, but her weapons felt heavy, like this world was pulling her down. Downstairs, she heard faint noises, a TV blaring, dishes clinking. A man's voice called, "Honey, grab me some coffee when you're done." A woman sighed, muttering about lazy husbands. Sakura's lips twitched, normal, human sounds, so different from the chaos she'd left behind. She crept toward the kitchen, where a woman with kind eyes was washing plates. The woman jumped when she saw Sakura, nearly dropping a dish. "Oh, you scared me," she said, then smiled warmly. "Are you okay, dear? When Ben brought you in, all burned and beat up, I was so worried." Sakura blinked, rubbing the back of her head like Naruto would, noticing the faint burn marks still on her arms. "I'm fine," she lied, glancing down at her clothes, oversized green shirt with a 10 on it, black shorts too big for her frame. "Ben's, probably." The woman set the plate down, drying her hands. "I'm Mrs. Tennyson, Ben's mom. My clothes were too small for you, but Ben didn't mind lending some. After you saved Gwen, it's the least we could do." She chuckled. "It was wild when Ben walked in with 3 extra kids, whisker boy, chicken butt hair, and you. My husband nearly fell over when the Dark One pulled a sword." Sakura's mind raced. Naruto and Sasuke were here? "Where are they?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Mrs. Tennyson shrugged. "They've been by your side for days, but I sent them out for air. Those boys are sweethearts, especially the loud one. Said you're like his sister, and he'd die before letting you down. The quiet one just grunted, but he didn't leave either." Sakura's chest warmed. Naruto's loyalty was unshakable, and even Sasuke's presence meant something, didn't it? Before she could ask more, the front door burst open. "Mom, I'm home." Ben's voice echoed, followed by footsteps. Naruto bounded into the kitchen first, his grin lighting up the room. "Sakura-chan." He tackled her in a bear hug, nearly knocking her over. "You're awake. I was so worried, Dadabia." Sakura rolled her eyes but smiled, patting his head. "I wasn't gone that long, you idiot." Sasuke appeared next, muttering, "Baka," but his quick glance at Sakura held a flicker of relief. Ben, Gwen, and Kevin followed, Gwen rushing to hug her. "Thanks for saving me," she whispered. Kevin just leaned against the wall, smirking, but his eyes lingered on Sakura a bit too long. The room buzzed with chatter, but Sakura's thoughts drifted. That weed creature wasn't random, it felt like a test, like something was watching them. And Naruto's Omnitrix, glowing on his wrist, was no ordinary tech. She could feel its energy, almost like chakra, but wilder, untamed. Sasuke's silence was heavier than ever, and she wondered what he wasn't saying. Gwen was safe, but the danger was far from over. In a world of aliens and monsters, Team 7 was out of their depth, but Sakura wasn't about to back down, not with her team, and maybe these new friends, counting on her. The darkness in Sakura's mind faded, but the voices lingered, whispering accusations that clawed at her heart. She jolted awake, gasping for air, her skin slick with sweat like she'd just fought a tailed beast. Her green eyes darted around, taking in a room she didn't recognize. Soft lights, a lumpy bed, walls covered in posters of alien creatures, and a kid with a green watch. No hidden leaf, no Team 7, no chakra humming in the air. Her pulse raced. Where was she? Naruto? Sasuke, she called, her voice hoarse. Silence pressed back, heavy and wrong. Ignoring the ache in her spine, Sakura swung her legs off the bed, her bare feet hitting a cool wooden floor. She steadied herself, noticing her clothes weren't her own, a baggy green shirt with a bold tint splashed across it, paired with black shorts that hung loose on her slim frame. Definitely not hers. She was petite, always had been, but these were comically oversized, like they belonged to a teenage boy. Her fingers brushed faint burn marks on her arms, remnants of that weed monster's acid. She could heal them, but not yet, not until she knew where she was. Voices drifted from somewhere below, a TV blaring, dishes clinking, water running. Sakura crept to the door, her ninja instincts kicking in despite the dull throb in her back. She turned the knob and stepped into a long hallway, walls lined with family photos that felt oddly normal for such a strange world. Left or right? She froze, listening. A man's voice boomed, cheerful but lazy. Honey, grab me some coffee when you're done, will ya? A woman sighed, muttering, yes, dear, followed by a grumble about lazy husbands who can't get their own drinks. Sakura's lips twitched. Threat or not, these people sounded human, grounded, nothing like the alien chaos she'd stumbled into. She followed the sounds, spotting a staircase at the hall's end. Her legs moved before her brain caught up, and she hurried down, tripping over a step in her haste. Boof, she hissed, catching the railing just in time. At the bottom, she paused, her senses sharp. The TV was louder now, blasting some cartoon about talking robots, while the kitchen noises grew clearer, plates stacking, water splashing. Sakura rounded the corner into a cozy kitchen, where a woman with warm eyes and a messy bun stood at the sink, scrubbing a plate. The woman jumped, nearly dropping her dish. Oh my gosh, you scared me, she gasped, then broke into a gentle smile. You're awake. Are you okay, dear? She set the plate down, shutting off the faucet and drying her hands on a towel. Sakura froze, caught off guard by the kindness. She rubbed the back of her head, a nervous habit she'd picked up from Naruto, and glanced at her arms. The burn marks were still there, ugly red patches she itched to heal, but she held back. Not in front of strangers. I'm fine, Sakura said, her voice softer than she meant. She looked down at her borrowed clothes, tugging at the oversized shirt. These aren't mine. The woman chuckled, her smile crinkling her eyes. Oh, those. My clothes were too small for you. I'm a tiny thing myself, even at my age. They're Ben's, but he didn't mind lending them to the girl who saved Gwen. I'm Mrs. Tennyson, by the way. She giggled, a sound so light it almost felt out of place. You should have seen my face when Ben burst in yelling, Mom, I'm home. I thought it'd just be him, maybe Gwen and Kevin. Then in come two extra boys, one with whiskers and this wild blonde hair, the other with, well, let's call it chicken butt hair, all dark and spiky. And don't get me started on my husband's reaction when the quiet one pulled out a sword. I nearly choked on my coffee. Sakura's mind whirled. Naruto and Sasuke were here or had been. She talks fast, she thought, but a smile tugged at her lips. Mrs. Tennyson's chatter was oddly comforting, like listening to Naruto ramble about ramen. The blonde one was a hoot, Mrs. Tennyson went on, leaning against the counter. Kept saying you're like his sister, that he'd stick by you no matter what. The dark one just grunted, but he didn't budge from your side either. A man strolled in, his dark hair streaked with gray, a grin spreading across his face when he saw Sakura. Well, look who's up. It's been almost 2 days, kid. Sakura's jaw dropped, her thoughts screaming, 2 days. She'd been out cold that long? Where are my friends? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Mr. Tennyson laughed, plopping into a chair. Those boys of yours are something else. The loud one Whiskers said he'd die before letting you down. Real loyal, that one. The other guy, all broody, just said HN like it was a full sentence. They were glued to you until my wife kicked him out for some air. Even Kevin wouldn't leave, Ben had to drag him. Mrs. Tennyson nodded, her eyes soft. I was worried about that Kevin. He looked shaken, sitting by your bed. Mr. Tennyson chuckled, nudging his wife. Honey, you talk too much. But seriously, kid, your crew's got some wild fashion sense. What's with the ninja getup? They both laughed, warm and easy, and Sakura couldn't help but smile back, even as her mind raced. 2 days. Naruto and Sasuke nearby. Kevin, shaken. She filed that away, her heart doing a weird flip she didn't have time to unpack. Thanks for looking after me, Sakura said, sincerity creeping into her tone. I'm sorry for any trouble. Mrs. Tennyson waved a hand, about to protest, but Sakura pressed on. Do you know where Naruto and Sasuke went? The couple exchanged a glance, then Mrs. Tennyson shrugged. Not sure, dear. They stepped out maybe an hour ago. Her eyes flicked to Sakura's arms. Mind if I ask, how'd you end up with all those burns? Looks like you walked through a fire. Sakura tensed. If Naruto and Sasuke hadn't spilled the truth, she wouldn't either. It was Gwen, she lied smoothly, her ninja training kicking in. She got trapped in a fire, and I ran in to pull her out. Got caught on something on the way back, took a while to break free. I used my coat to shield her, but it burned up, and I got these. She gestured at her arms, keeping her face neutral. Mr. Tennyson's brow furrowed. He'd noticed Gwen had no burns, but Sakura doubled down. I'd rather get her than let her die, she added, her voice firm. Mrs. Tennyson's eyes softened, buying the story, but Mr. Tennyson's skepticism lingered. Before he could press, the front door flew open with a bang. Mom, I'm home. Ben's voice echoed, followed by a rush of footsteps. Sakura turned, her heart lifting as Naruto bounded into the kitchen, his grin brighter than the sun. Sakura-chan, he yelled, launching himself at her in a hug so tight it nearly cracked her ribs. You're okay. I missed you so much, Databia. She rolled her eyes, but her smile was real as she patted his head. It's not like I was gone forever, you big idiot. I've had worse. Sasuke slipped in next, his dark eyes scanning her like he was checking for damage. Baka, he muttered under his breath, but when Sakura caught his gaze, he smirked just for a second before his usual scowl returned. Ben, Gwen, and Kevin followed, crowding the kitchen. Gwen rushed forward, wrapping Sakura in a quick hug. Thank you, she whispered, her voice thick with gratitude. Ben grinned wide. Yo, Sakura. Good to see you up. Kevin, though, hung back, leaning against the wall with a smirk that didn't quite reach his eyes. He closed them, like he was shutting out the noise, but Sakura couldn't look away. Her heart did that weird flip again, stronger this time, like an invisible thread was pulling her toward him. Inner Sakura, who'd been quiet for ages, suddenly roared to life, cheering, Go for it, girl. He's hot. Sakura's feet moved before she could stop them, left, right, carrying her across the room. Her hand lifted, trembling, reaching for his arm. She didn't know why, she just had to. A tingle sparked in her stomach, a mix of nerves and something new, something that scared her as much as it thrilled her. If she didn't touch him, just once, she felt like she'd unravel. Closer, closer, her fingers brushed the air near his sleeve. Kevin's eyes snapped open, locking onto hers, and the world went quiet. His face was all sharp angles and quiet intensity, and Sakura's breath hitched. He was cute. Really cute. Her cheeks burned, her hand frozen an inch from his arm. He opened his mouth, about to speak, when Sakura-chan, we need you over here. Naruto's voice shattered the moment, loud and oblivious as he waved his arms like a windmill. Sasuke's being all grumpy, and I can't figure out what he's saying. Sakura blinked, the spell broken. She turned away, her face flaming, and hurried to Naruto's side, avoiding Kevin's gaze. She stopped next to Mr. and Mrs. Tennyson, plastering on a smile to hide the chaos in her head. Naruto, hands on hips, rolled his eyes. Hey, old folks, can you give us a sec? We gotta talk. Sakura shot him a glare sharp enough to cut steel. Naruto, she hissed, mortified. The Tennysons just blinked, but Ben stepped in, all easy charm. Mom, Dad, let's give em space. He ushered his parents out, throwing a grin over his shoulder. Come on, guys, let's find somewhere quieter. Everyone nodded, and Sakura ducked upstairs to change, swapping Ben's clothes for her usual red top and shorts, now patched up but still hers. The burn marks on her arms bugged her, so she focused, a faint green chakra glow wrapping her hands. She pressed them to each scar, watching the skin smooth over, good as new. The group piled into Kevin's car, a sleek, green beast that growled when he started it. Sakura squeezed in, instantly regretting it when something sharp jabbed her side. Sasuke, she growled, twisting to glare at him. Move your katana, it's stabbing me. Sasuke just grunted, shifting the blade slightly. She sighed, settling back, her eyes drifting to Naruto's wrist. That Omnitrix glowed, its orange tint pulsing like it was alive, tied to his chakra in ways she didn't trust. Something big was coming, she could feel it, like a storm brewing just out of sight. Naruto's loudmouth request to clear out the Tennysons hung in the kitchen air like a bad jutsu, and Sakura's glare could have melted steel. Naruto, manners, she snapped, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. Mr. and Mrs. Tennyson just blinked, caught off guard by the blonde ninja's bluntness, but Ben swooped in with his easy grin. Hey, Mom, Dad, let's give em some space, he said, ushering his parents toward the living room with a wave. Their laughter faded down the hall, leaving the teens in a buzzing silence. Ben turned back, his green eyes glinting with purpose. All right, gang, let's find somewhere to talk, somewhere we can figure out what's going on. Everyone nodded, and Sakura ducked upstairs to swap Ben's oversized clothes for her own red top, black shorts, and gloves, patched but familiar. Her burn marks itched under the fabric, a reminder of that weed monster's acid. She focused, her hands glowing with soft green chakra, and pressed them to each scar. The skin smoothed over, good as new, and she sighed in relief, feeling more like herself. Downstairs, the group was already moving, piling toward Kevin's car parked out front. Sakura hesitated, eyeing the sleek green beast with suspicion. It growled like a summons gone wrong, all metal and menace. Naruto caught her nervous look and slung an arm around her shoulders. It's okay, Sakura-chan. It's just a car, Dadabia. She raised an eyebrow. A what? Before she could press, Kevin turned the key, and the engine roared to life, making her jump. She slid into the cramped back seat, instantly regretting it when something sharp jabbed her side. Sasuke, she growled, twisting to glare at him. Your katana's stabbing me, move it. Sasuke, squeezed beside her, just grunted, shifting the blade barely an inch. Sakura rolled her eyes, muttering about moody Uchihas. As Kevin pulled onto the road, Ben's gaze flicked to Sakura's arms, now scar-free. Whoa, how'd you do that? He asked, his voice full of awe. Sakura blushed, waving it off. Just a trick from my world, she said, not wanting to dive into chakra lessons. The car fell quiet, the hum of the engine filling the awkward gap. When wedged between Ben and Naruto, broke the silence. So, what's it like where you guys come from? Her orange hair bounced as she leaned forward, genuinely curious. Naruto's face lit up like a festival. Oh, man, where we're from. It's all ninjas and action, believe it, he boomed, ignoring Sasuke's hand smacking the back of his head. Ow. Anyway, when I wake up, I scarf down some ramen, best food ever, and head out. My village is crazy alive. Kids are sparring in the streets, throwing shuriken, practicing jutsu like poof clones everywhere. Old folks teach or they're off on secret missions if they're umbu. It's the best, Dadabia. He rubbed his head, grinning ear to ear. Sakura smiled, warmth creeping into her chest. Wow, Naruto, that was kinda poetic. He laughed, scratching his neck, all bashful. Kevin, eyes on the road, smirked. Sounds like a party. Gwen and Ben nodded, their smiles bright, but Sasuke's voice cut through like a kunai. It's fun until someone dies. The air turned heavy, his onyx eyes cold and unreadable. You train for hours, bleed for missions that could kill you, and stay on guard every second. That's our world. Silence swallowed the car. Ben frowned, his usual confidence shaken. Gwen's hands twisted in her lap, and even Kevin's smirk faded. Sakura stared out the window, her reflection pale against the passing lights. Sasuke wasn't wrong, home was beautiful, but brutal. She shook off the thought as Kevin pulled into a deserted junkyard, the car crunching over gravel. Everyone spilled out, Sakura gulping fresh air to shake the weird vibe of the ride. The junkyard stretched around them, a maze of rusting cars, broken appliances, and piles of trash that reeked worse than Naruto's post-mission socks. No one seemed to care about the smell, too caught up in their own heads. Sakura's mind buzzed with questions: how'd they learn this world's language? Why were they even here? Naruto, pacing like a caged fox, voiced her thoughts. So, how did we get here? Everyone shrugged, stumped, but Sasuke's eyes narrowed, a memory sparking. Sakura, he said, his voice low, that scroll. The one we were delivering to Suna. Sakura blinked, her hand diving into her medic pouch. Her fingers closed around a small, sealed scroll, its weight heavier than it should have been. This, she asked, confusion clouding her face. Sasuke nodded. Read it? It might explain something. She unrolled it carefully, her eyes scanning the symbols Kenwei Kyu, cryptic and strange. Danger is the key, she read aloud, her brow furrowing. Gwen's head snapped up, an eyebrow raised. Wait, how'd you know that? She asked, turning to Sakura. Gwen blushed, a shy smile breaking through. I've been studying languages. Japanese was after Spanish. It's a hobby. Sakura nodded, impressed, but her focus stayed on the scroll. What's it mean? Danger is the key. Sasuke crossed his arms, thinking hard, his gaze flicking to Sakura so quick she missed it. Kevin, leaning nearby, didn't, and his eyes narrowed, a spark of something sharp flaring in them. After a long pause, Sasuke spoke. Maybe it's why we're here. Remember the branch snapping, Sakura? When you fell, the scroll must have triggered something. Naruto's eyes widened. Oh, yeah. That crazy light when we got sucked up. It clicked for Sakura too, the flash, the dizzying void, landing in Bellwood. But why here? Why this world of aliens and junkyards? She kept scanning the scroll, hoping for answers, but the symbols taunted her, refusing to spill their secrets. Ben and Kevin stepped aside, their voices low as they eyed the ninjas. I don't trust Blondie or Pretty Boy, Kevin muttered, his arms crossed tight. Too many sharp toys, especially that sword guy. Ben glanced at Naruto, who was whispering something to Sasuke, and Sasuke, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. They don't seem bad, Ben said, hesitating. But yeah, they're weird. What about Sakura? Kevin shrugged, his face unreadable, but his thoughts drifted to that moment in the kitchen, her hands so close, the air charged. He shook it off, glaring at nothing. Stop it, Levin. Focus. Gwen, perched on a torn couch in the junkyard's mess, waved Kevin over. Sakura sat higher up, on a hill of twisted metal, her pink hair catching the fading light. Both girls smiled as he approached, but before he could speak, the ground shuddered violently. Kevin dropped to his knees, cursing as trash slid around him. Naruto, balanced on an old car, yelped and tumbled off, landing square on Suzuki with a thud. Get off, Baka. Suzuki growled, shoving him away. Gwen and Sakura braced themselves, steady as ninjas, but the shaking worsened, rattling their bones. Is it an earthquake? Gwen shouted, her voice barely cutting through the clatter of falling junk. Ben, straining to hear, yelled back, I don't think so. A purple light erupted from the ground, shooting up from a rundown warehouse nearby. It pierced the sky, bright and eerie, stopping just past the clouds before fading. The quake died down, but a strange red tint settled over the junkyard, heavy and unnatural. Sakura's skin prickled. This wasn't just weird, it was wrong. No one spoke, they didn't need to. The group was already running, feet pounding toward the warehouse. Team 7 drew weapons, kunai for Sakura, shuriken for Naruto, Suzuki's hand on his katana. Ben slapped his Omnitrix, transforming into Spider Monkey with a flash, his furry form scampering ahead. Gwen's hands glowed pink, energy crackling, while Kevin touched a rusted truck, his skin morphing into solid steel. The warehouse loomed closer, its cracked walls hiding who knew what. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust and secrets. They slowed, catching their breath except Ben, who chattered excitedly in his alien form. This place is giving me vibes, guys. Naruto nudged Suzuki, whispering about splitting up, while Sakura pulled Gwen aside. So, what do you do? She asked, curious about the girl she'd risked her life for. Gwen grinned, her eyes lighting up. I manipulate energy blasts, shields, grapples. Pretty cool, right? Sakura nodded, impressed. Very cool. Naruto's voice cut through, loud and obnoxious. I want to stick with Sakura-chan, he declared, bouncing like a kid hyped on sugar. Gwen and Sakura giggled, but Suzuki smacked him upside the head, muttering something low. Sakura caught a flicker of sadness in Naruto's eyes before his grin snapped back, bright as ever. Suzuki's gaze hardened. I'll take the Baka. Ben and Gwen, you're together. Sakura, Kevin. His tone left no room for argument. Sakura's cheeks warmed, and she stole a glance at Kevin, who was suddenly very interested in his shoes. They paired off, heading down a dim hallway that stretched into the warehouse's guts. The place was oddly clean for a junkyard ruin, polished floors, faint hums of machinery. Why's a place this nice sitting in a dump? Sakura wondered aloud. Kevin smirked, like he'd read her mind. Beats me. Something's off. Their footsteps echoed, the silence between them heavy. Sakura's thoughts drifted to the scroll, its cryptic words, danger is the key. Was this it? The danger they'd been sent to face? Her eyes flicked to Naruto up ahead, the Omnitrix on his wrist pulsing orange, tied to his chakra in ways she couldn't explain. Suzuki's quiet was louder than usual, and Kevin's presence beside her stirred that strange tug again, like a jutsu she couldn't dodge. Kevin's voice broke the quiet of the warehouse hallway, low and edged with suspicion. This place is too clean for a junkyard dump. Gotta be a hideout, maybe for gangs, maybe something worse. Sakura shot him a puzzled look, her green eyes narrowing as she scanned the polished floor and humming machines. He nodded toward a door nearby, slightly ajar, revealing glints of tech inside. Curiosity tugged at her, and she stepped closer, Kevin right behind. He pushed the door open, letting her slip in first, his steel-coated hand brushing the frame like he was ready for trouble. The room was small, crammed with gear that looked straight out of a sci-fi scroll. Sakura's gaze landed on a flat screen hooked to a tangle of wires, like a TV possessed by a mad inventor. "I've seen televisions," she said, poking it cautiously, "but why's this one got more cables than a puppet master's strings?" Kevin crouched, fishing a loose plug from the floor. "Let's find out," he said, jamming it into an outlet. The screens, 10 of them, lined up like silent sentinels, flickered to life, casting a cold glow over the room. Each monitor showed a different angle, some kind of surveillance setup. Sakura leaned in, her breath catching as one screen revealed Ben and Gwen creeping through a hallway, Gwen's hands glowing with pinkish-purple light. She giggled when Ben tripped over a pipe, flailing to catch himself. "Security cameras," she muttered, piecing it together. Most screens showed empty rooms, dusty corners, crates, shadows, but the 9th one made her freeze. Kevin cursed under his breath, his finger jabbing at it, and Sakura's heart sank. There, on the grainy feed, stood Naruto and Sasuke, facing a weird, rune-covered door that pulsed with an eerie blue glow. Naruto's voice crackled through the speakers as Kevin cranked the volume. "Why do we gotta leave Sakura-chan?" he shouted, his blue eyes blazing at Sasuke. The dark-haired ninja glared back, his voice sharp enough to cut. "Orders from Tsunade-sama. And besides, she's got a thing for that idiot Kevin. She'd be happier here." His words dripped with venom, and Sakura's fists clenched, her nails biting into her palms. Naruto's chakra flared, orange and wild, his eyes flashing red as he drew a kunai. "You're wrong. Tsunade never gave those orders." Sasuke's Sharingan spun to life, a smirk curling his lips. "Fine. I lied. It's Orochimaru-sama's orders." Before Naruto could react, Sasuke struck, knocking him out cold with a swift chop to the neck. Sakura gasped, her chest tightening as Sasuke hoisted Naruto's limp form and stepped toward the door. The blue light flared, swallowing them both, and the door vanished, leaving an empty wall. "No," Sakura whispered, anger surging like a wildfire. Sasuke had betrayed them again. And Naruto didn't even know. Kevin's hand grazed her shoulder, but she barely felt it, her mind replaying Sasuke's words. The 4 of them, Sakura, Kevin, Ben, and Gwen, were back at the Tennyson house before she could process it, huddled in Ben's room. Sakura sat on the bed, her pink hair falling over her face like a curtain, hiding the storm in her eyes. Her fists were so tight her knuckles whitened, trying to cage the fury that threatened to spill over. Naruto was gone. Sasuke was a traitor. And she was stuck in this alien world, alone. Ben's voice broke her spiral, cautious but curious. "Do you think Naruto and Sasuke were both in on it?" Sakura's head snapped up, and something inside her broke. She surged to her feet, slamming her fist into the wall with a crack that echoed like thunder. Plaster crumbled, leaving a jagged hole. "Don't you dare say that," she screamed, her glare pinning Ben, Gwen, and Kevin in place. "Naruto would never betray me. Sasuke's always been a snake, but Naruto? He's my family." Tears stung her eyes, but she blinked them back, yanking her fist free. He wouldn't fake that. Kevin stood, crossing the room with a strained smile, like he wanted to calm her but didn't know how. Before he could speak, Mrs. Tennyson burst in, her eyes wide at the wrecked wall. What in the world happened? Ben and Gwen exchanged a glance, then blurted in unison, "Kevin tripped." Kevin's jaw dropped, his glare promising revenge, but Mrs. Tennyson wasn't buying it. She grabbed his ear, dragging him out while muttering about damages and clumsy boys. Sakura let out a small giggle, the absurdity cutting through her anger for a fleeting moment until Naruto's face flashed in her mind, and the weight crashed back. Gwen, quick to shift the mood, hopped up. Sakura, until we figure out how to get you home, let's do something normal like shopping. You need clothes that don't scream ninja in this world. Sakura glanced at her torn red top and shorts, practical for battle but weird here. No dresses, she said, managing a smile. I need to move if trouble comes. Gwen's eyes sparkled. Deal. Before Sakura could protest, Gwen grabbed one arm, Ben the other, and they pulled her down the stairs, shouting, Mom, Dad, we're hitting the mall. Kevin, free from Mrs. Tennyson's grip, caught up, waving goodbye as the door slammed shut. Mr. Tennyson's voice trailed after, kids these days. The car ride was lively, Gwen and Sakura in the back chatting about styles jeans, maybe sneakers while Ben and Kevin up front traded jabs. A breeze slipped through the cracked window, tossing Ben's hair into a mess. He groaned, rolling it up. My hair's ruined. Gwen left, then turned to Sakura, her eyes wide with awe. Okay, but seriously, how'd you punch a hole in Ben's wall? That's gotta hurt. Kevin can do it 'cause he turns to rock, but you. Sakura blushed, staring out the window. Back home, it's normal. I trained under the strongest ninja ever, Lady Tsunade. I could snap a tree with my pinky if I wanted. Ben and Gwen's jaws dropped, and Kevin's grip on the wheel tightened, his thoughts spinning. Cute and strong? Man, I'm in trouble. He shook it off, muttering, don't like her, nope, but his mental slap didn't help. Gwen nudged Sakura, grinning. When we're done shopping, every guy in Bellwood's gonna lose it. You're a ninja there, but here? You're just Sakura, pink hair, green eyes, total star. Sakura laughed, a sound so bright it caught Kevin off guard. The car swerved, tires screeching, and Ben glared. Yo, trying to kill us. Kevin growled, shut it, Tennyson, but his mind was on that laugh, clear, alive, like a bell he couldn't unhear. They reached the mall around noon, the lot buzzing with cars and chatter. Sakura stepped out, yawning, her nap in the car leaving her groggy. She'd dreamed of home, Kakashi's lazy grin, Tsunade's sharp lessons, Naruto's endless energy, even Sasuke's cold stares. Waking to this world, without them, hit hard. People stared as she followed the group, her pink hair and torn ninja gear drawing eyes like a beacon. She ignored it, catching Ben's wave. Sakura, let's go. Gwen grabbed her hand, and they dove into the mall, leaving Ben and Kevin to wander off. Cafe. Ben suggested, pointing to a neon sign. Kevin shrugged, and they split. The stores were a whirlwind, racks of jeans, bright tops, shoes in every color. Gwen held up a purple tube top, but Sakura shook her head fast. Nope. Reminds me of my friend Ino, she'd love it, but it's not me. Gwen nodded, setting it back, and they kept hunting. Nothing felt right, too flashy, too tight, not Sakura. Her pink hair already screamed for attention, and she didn't need more. Then Gwen gasped, dropping a green top as a boy their age swaggered by, smirking at her. Nice hair, carrot top, he sneered, rejoining his friends with a laugh. Gwen sighed, picking up the shirt, but Sakura's eyes narrowed. She grabbed it, smiling. I'll be right back. In the changing room, Sakura slipped into the outfit, green long-sleeve shirt, a white short sleeve layered over it, loose black pants, and neon pink-green sneakers. It wasn't tight, but it hugged her curves just enough, practical yet sharp. She checked the mirror, nodding. Not bad. At the cashier, she slapped down some cash stolen from a mission pouch, but who was counting, and asked, enough for this? The woman smiled, waving her off. On her way out, Sakura snagged a black cap from a stand, tossing $30 down without waiting for change. She had a score to settle. The boys Gwen's jerk had joined were easy to spot, four of them, lounging near a food court, stuffing their faces with chili dogs, nachos, and something Sakura couldn't even name. Gross didn't cover it. They had that bad boy vibe, leather jackets, smug grins, trouble written all over them. She squared her shoulders, striding over with a sweet smile. "Hi, guys," she said, waving lightly, hands clasped behind her back. A dark-haired kid with blue eyes stepped forward, his smirk all charm and slime. He leaned in, whispering something that made her skin crawl, his breath hot on her ear. Sakura's smile didn't waver, but her eyes turned sharp. She poked his chest hard, enough to make him stumble. "Sorry, buddy, I'm not a toy," she said, her voice sugar-laced with steel. "Your friend owes mine an apology." "No." The guy Ron, she caught his name, laughed, thinking her smirk meant she was playing along. He didn't know she was a ninja, trained to break bones with a flick, though she'd never go that far here. Not yet. Ron's smirk twisted into a scowl as Sakura stood her ground, her fingers still pressed into his chest. "My friend deserves an apology," she repeated, her voice steady but sharp, like a kunai held at the ready. "Your buddy knocked something out of her hand and threw insults. Fix it." Ron's blue eyes flashed with defiance. "We don't apologize to nobody," he spat, stepping closer, his hand raised to shove her. "Big mistake." Sakura's ninja reflexes kicked in, and in a blur, she grabbed his arm, twisted, and flipped him over her shoulder. He hit the mall floor with a thud, the air whooshing out of him like a pop balloon. He gasped, scrambling to get up, but the fight in his eyes was already fading. His three friends weren't as smart. They charged her, their faces twisted with anger, and the crowd around them started chanting, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" Sakura's lips quirked. She'd faced worse than mall punks in the Chunin exams. The first guy swung a fist, but she caught it mid-air, her grip tight enough to make him wince. Another tried a kick, and her free hand blocked it with a smack that echoed. These guys were tough for civilians, but they weren't shinobi. She tightened her hold on the puncher's fist, bending it just enough to warn him one more twist, and it'd snap. He yelped, sweat beading on his forehead. Her focus slipped when she spotted Kevin pushing through the crowd, his dark eyes locked on her. A flush crept up her cheeks, and that split-second distraction cost her. She didn't see the other three pull weapons, baseball bats, of all things, probably swiped from the sports store next door. Really? She thought, exasperated. Time to end this. She hurled the fist guy into a nearby stand. Stuffed toys and tattoo chairs went flying, and he stayed down, groaning. One down, 3 to go. Before she could charge, shouts cut through the chaos. Security. Mall guards barreled toward them, radios crackling. Sakura tensed, ready to dodge, but strong arms wrapped around her waist, yanking her back. She glanced up, heart skipping, to find Kevin smirking down at her. "Let's move, ninja girl," he said, half dragging her through the crowd. Ben and Gwen were right behind, weaving toward a store that screamed teen fashion with its neon signs and loud music. "Need more clothes anyway," Gwen called, grinning. "Might as well hide out." An hour later, Sakura was drowning in outfits, dragging Ben and Kevin through racks of jeans and shirts while Gwen tossed her suggestions. Kevin didn't see what she tried on, but his mind wandered, picturing her in something other than ninja gear. His cheeks warmed, and he cursed himself for it. Then Sakura's voice snapped him back. "What do you think?" He turned, and his jaw nearly hit the floor. She stood there in a red dress shirt, snug enough to hint at curves hidden under her usual baggy clothes, paired with a white skirt that stopped mid-thigh. Her pink hair framed her face, green eyes bright, and those legs, man, she was a knockout. Kevin swallowed hard, his heart thudding. He couldn't deny it anymore. He was falling for Harano Sakura, and it scared him senseless. Far away, in a place that reeked of shadows and bad intentions, Sasuke Uchiha stood rigid, his hand twitching toward his katana. Across from him, Orochimaru's smirk was pure poison, his pale face lit by a flickering candle that cast an orange glow over the empty room. One last task, Sasuke-kun, the snake hissed, his voice dripping with glee. Kill the medical ninja. Sasuke's glare could have sparked a fire, but it was half hidden in the dim light. Why not there? Why drag me back? He growled, barely loud enough for Orochimaru to hear. The older man chuckled, slinking closer, his tongue flicking out in a way that made Sasuke's stomach churn. Oh, many reasons, Orochimaru purred. First, I wasn't sure if you cared for her. That mission proved you do such a pity. Sasuke's grip on his blade tightened. Second, that brat refused to heal my arms after our last disagreement. And third, a certain Vilgax offered a deal. We both get something sweet from this. Sasuke's mind raced. Vilgax, another name to hate. He nodded curtly and stormed out, ignoring the presence of Karen, Yugo, Kabuto, and Suijutsu lurking nearby. Kill Sakura? His Sakura? The thought twisted something in him, but he shoved it down, a smirk flickering. She wasn't his, not yet. Back in Bellwood, Sakura's day took a softer turn. After the mall, Gwen suggested a movie to unwind, and the group ended up in a dark theater, popcorn buckets in hand. The screen showed a tear-jerker, a girl rejecting a boy who loved her, his plea to run away together falling apart as she walked off, tears streaming. Sakura sobbed into her popcorn, shoving handfuls in her mouth to muffle the sound. Kevin, Ben, and Gwen exchanged glances, baffled. This was the girl who'd punched through walls, survived the puppet master's poison, and faced monsters without flinching, crying over a love story? It's so sad, Sakura hiccuped as they left, wiping her face on her new green sleeve. Gwen left, climbing into Kevin's car beside her. Sakura, it wasn't that sad. Sakura giggled, her mood lifting. Guess I got carried away. But the lightness didn't last. It'd been days, maybe a week, since she'd landed in this world, and every attempt to get home had failed. Her slug jutsu couldn't reach Tsunade, and the scroll's cryptic "danger is the key" was still a dead end. She was starting to accept it. Her friends back home would find her. She was Konoha's best medic, after all. For now, she'd make the most of Bellwood. Living with Gwen's family was nice. Her parents were warm, like the Tennysons, but Sakura spent most days with Ben, Gwen, and Kevin. They'd opened up about their lives, Ben's Omnitrix holding way more than 10 aliens now, Gwen's anodyne heritage from her grandma, Kevin's rough past as a bad boy turned good. Sakura shared too, her training under Tsunade, Naruto's endless heart, even Sasuke's betrayal stinging fresh. It was fun, this new rhythm, but homesickness gnawed at her, and the thought of Sasuke made her fists clench. If she saw him, she'd... Her thoughts shattered as a screech tore through the car. Sakura's ninja ears caught it first, metal grinding, too close. Kevin, she started, but the world lurched. Something slammed into the car, hard, spinning it across the road. Glass crunched, Gwen yelped, and Ben braced against the dash. Kevin cursed, fighting the wheel, but the car skidded to a stop, smoke curling from the hood. Outside, people gasped, phones out, some yelling about cops. Sakura's heart pounded, but her training kicked in. She was fine, bruised, maybe, but the others. The world spun upside down, metal screeching like a banshee as Kevin's green car crumpled under the impact of a white sedan that had barreled into them at full speed. Sakura's head throbbed, her body pinned against the door, the side that took the hit. Pain roared through her, sharp and relentless, but her ninja training kept her mind clear. She couldn't feel her legs or her left arm, and a warm, sticky trickle told her she was bleeding. The car was flipped, roof kissing pavement, and the others were groaning, alive but battered. Gwen's voice was shaky but determined. Hold on. A pinkish-purple barrier flickered around him, but it had formed too late, shattering under the crash's force. Kevin, his skin morphed to match the car's steel, grunted as he shoved debris aside. Ben, unscathed thanks to Gwen's quick thinking, was already fumbling with his Omnitrix. Sakura hissed, unbuckling her seat belt, and dropped to the roof, now the floor with a jolt that spiked pain through her skull. Blood dripped from a gash on her forehead, clouding her vision. She tried the door, but the white car's wreckage blocked it. Trapped. Her teammates needed her more than she needed to escape. Ignoring her own wounds, Sakura reached for Gwen, her hand glowing with green chakra. She pressed it to a deep cut on Gwen's arm, sealing it in seconds. Thanks, Gwen mumbled, wrestling with her buckle. Sakura moved to Kevin next, healing a gash on his shoulder, then Ben, whose ribs were bruised but intact. Her legs were numb, her arms screamed with every move, and her head felt like it was splitting, but she pushed through. Healing herself would have to wait. Sirens wailed closer, voices shouting paramedics, cops, maybe bystanders. Sakura's vision blurred, the head wound stealing her strength. She slumped back, darkness creeping in, and the last thing she heard was a strange chant, like a ghost in her mind. Check out lucky number 11, check out lucky number 11. A familiar voice yanked her back. I think she's waking up. Sakura's eyes fluttered open, the sterile smell of a hospital hitting her first. Her head pounded, but she focused on three blurry figures: Ben, Gwen, and Kevin, hovering like worried summons. Ben. Gwen. Kevin, she mumbled, forcing a smile that turned into a wince as pain shot through her skull. Ben's grin was pure Naruto-level goofiness. Man, you scared us. Well, mostly Kevin, but me and Gwen knew you'd pull through. You're tough as nails. Sakura's cheeks warmed at Kevin's name. She tried to sit up, but a firm hand pushed her down. Kevin, his face a mix of anger and something softer. Stupid girl, he snapped, a blush creeping across his cheeks. Heal yourself first next time, got it? His voice cracked, betraying how much he'd worried. Sakura frowned, then laughed, the sound easing the tension. Gwen and Ben joined in, and even Kevin's scowl softened, his blush deepening. Knowing they cared, especially Kevin, wrapped her heart in warmth she hadn't felt since Konoha. 3 days later, Sakura was out of the hospital, her chakra healing working miracles. Kevin hadn't left her side, refusing to go home even to shower or eat. I'm fine, she'd insisted, but he'd just grunt, staying put. Gwen and Ben noticed, trading knowing looks, but said nothing. Sakura felt it too. His presence was steady, like a rock she could lean on, but it stirred a worry she couldn't name. Was he okay? Trouble didn't wait long to find them. They were patrolling Bellwood's outskirts when a shadow loomed, a massive plant monster, its vines writhing like snakes, bigger and meaner than the one Sakura had fought before. It was familiar, too familiar, and her stomach twisted. She wore a new outfit, a women's hakama from a karate shop, black, trouser-like, perfect for fighting, not just ceremonies. A porcelain umbu mask, a gift from Niji for her birthday, hid her face, its intricate designs cool under her fingers. She missed him, missed everyone, but there was no time for that now. Sakura, watch out! Gwen shouted. Sakura backflipped, landing hard, a gash on her side stinging. She healed it fast, chakra flaring, and dodged another vine. Kevin, his skin gray from absorbing metal, charged with a yowl, slamming his fist into the creature. It barely flinched. Ben, as chromastone, tore through a vine with crystal spikes, but the monster spat a green glob acid, sizzling on the ground. Guys, that's acid. Gwen warned, her pink barrier deflecting a splash just in time. Kevin ripped a street pole free, hurling it like a spear, but the creature batted it away. Ben, Finish it, he barked, dodging another acid ball. I'm trying. Ben roared, his deep alien voice echoing. Sakura drew her katana, its blade gleaming under the streetlights. With a battle cry, she leaped, aiming to slice the beast in half. A white flash blinded them, and a force threw her back, her mask cracking as she hit the ground. When the light faded, the creature was gone poof, like it'd never been. Kevin was at her side in a heartbeat, pulling her up. You okay? His voice was rough, worried. Sakura nodded, blushing under her mask as she slipped it off. I'm fine, she said, catching his own flush. They piled into his car, the mood heavy. Ben broke the silence. Think it was after Sakura? Like, revenge for its kid. Sakura flinched, her head dropping, hair hiding her face. Gwen shrugged, but Kevin smirked. Tough bugger. Like it was trained. Sakura's shoulders shook, a sob escaping. Kevin glanced in the rear view, his heart twisting at her tears. It was fast, Ben added, oblivious. Could wreck a village. Sakura's voice broke through, raw and trembling. I want to go home. They froze, the cars hummed the only sound. Naruto, he's got a demon fox inside him. The Nine Tails destroyed our village years ago. And Sasuke. Orochimaru, this sick, power-hungry creep, trained him. Sasuke wanted strength to avenge his clan. His brother killed them all. Gwen gasped, her hand over her mouth. Sakura's tears fell faster. My life's not some ninja adventure. It's hard, and I miss it. Silence swallowed them. Kevin slammed the brakes, the car jerking to a stop outside Ben's house. He got out, slamming the door, and stormed off, his face a mask of fury. Ben and Gwen climbed out, confused, and Sakura followed, wiping her eyes. Gwen hugged her tight. We'll get you home, Sakura. All of us, no matter what. Her eyes flicked to Kevin, leaning against his car, glaring at nothing. Sakura's puffy eyes met his, and his anger cracked, guilt flooding in. He liked her too much. If she left, it got him, but seeing her cry hurt worse. Ben grinned, trying to lighten the mood. Yeah, we've got your back, right, Kevin? Kevin's glare softened, landing on Sakura. Yeah, he muttered, climbing back in. Let's go. Kevin's whatever echoed as he peeled away from Ben's house, the green car's growl fading into the night. Sakura sat on her new bed at Gwen's place, the room cozy but foreign, her hakama folded neatly beside her. Homesickness tugged at her, sharper now without Naruto's goofy grin or even Sasuke's cold presence. A knock snapped her out of it. Come in, she called, and Gwen poked her head in, her orange hair catching the lamplight. Kevin wants to meet at Mr. Smoothie. You in? Sakura nodded, grabbing her jacket. A smoothie sounded better than brooding. They reached the neon-lit Mr. Smoothie in no time, spotting Kevin's car parked under a flickering sign. Ben and Kevin leaned against it, chatting, and waved as the girls jogged over. Ben turned to Gwen with a grin. Help me grab the smoothies. Gwen nodded, and they vanished into the shop, leaving Sakura blinking. Weird, she muttered. Ben's gotten smoothies, like, 7 times and never needed help. Kevin cleared his throat, his voice softer than usual. Sakura, can you come with me? She opened her mouth to ask why, but the sadness in his dark eyes stopped her. She followed, her ninja senses tingling as they left the bright lights behind for a quiet park nearby. The sky was a canvas of oranges, reds, and yellows, like a sunset painted by a master. Sakura's breath caught. It was beautiful, but Kevin's silence felt heavy. She broke it first. Why here, Kevin? He stopped, turning to face her, his height making her tilt her head up. His frown carved lines in his face, and his eyes held a storm of sorrow. Sakura, he said, voice low, I don't want you to go back. Her heart skipped, then hardened. Why? She demanded, glaring. It's my home. Kevin nodded, like he'd expected that. I know, but you'd be amazing here, with us. Part of the team. She shook her head, her glare sharpening, pink hair swaying. Kevin's voice cracked, desperate now. Sakura, I don't want you to go because I love you. If you leave, I don't know how I'll keep going. Everyone likes you, you're beautiful, strong, perfect even with your flaws. That's what I love most. Sakura gasped, her green eyes wide, words tangling in her throat. Kevin rushed on, his blush deepening. You're smart, brave, cool, everything. I'd die for you, Sakura. Stay, please. You won't regret it? Before she could think, she was on her tiptoes, her lips finding his. His eyes widened, shock melting into warmth as he kissed her back, soft and fierce. Her tears slipped free, hidden by closed lids, but Kevin felt them. Their lungs screamed for air, and they parted, faces tomato red, breathless and blushing. The park's evening crowd clapped, grinning at the new couple, and Sakura's laugh was shy but bright. Kevin opened his mouth, but she pressed a finger to his lips, her smile angelic. You talk too much, she teased, and they kissed again, the world fading away. Neither saw the figure in the shadows, his red cherry non-eyes burning with rage. Suzuki's smirk was cold, lethal. His Sakura, stolen by some nobody? He'd fake her death to fool Orochimaru and Vilgax, but Kevin 11? That punk was as good as dead. Days later, Sakura was still floating from Kevin's confession, her hand often finding his as they hung out with Ben and Gwen. The pair had cheered when they heard Gwen with a squeal, Ben with a fist bump but warned them to stay sharp. Trouble loved Bellwood. Sakura yawned one morning, her pink hair a wild nest as she stumbled out of bed at Gwen's. She wiped drool from her lip, green eyes half open, craving more sleep. Then it hit a spark of chakra, faint but wrong, like a predator circling. She bolted upright, pulling on her hakama and strapping on her umbu mask, a birthday gift from Niji with swirling designs that felt like home. Her katana was in hand as she sprinted to Gwen's room, flipping on the light. Gwen, wake up, she hissed. I sense something not friendly. Gwen groaned, rubbing her eyes, but nodded, slipping into jeans and a jacket. Sakura dialed Ben and Kevin, her voice clipped. They're coming, she told Gwen, hanging up. Said they need more than boxers, boys. Gwen giggled, but their faces turned serious as Sakura's eyes narrowed. He's in the house. Gwen's gasp was sharp. My parents, she moved to run, but Sakura grabbed her arm. He skipped their room. He's not here for them. They turned, spotting a cracked window, and shared a look. Silent as shinobi, they climbed out, dropping to the grass below. Gwen whispered, still following. Sakura nodded, her mask hiding her frown. A figure appeared, blonde hair, whisker marks, blue eyes. Naruto. Sakura cried, tackling him in a hug, tears soaking her mask. You're back. How? I missed you. He grinned, hugging her tight. Missed you too, Sakura. Then his eyes widened, and her joy froze. Sakura-chan, he said, and her blood ran cold. She leaped back, katana raised, glaring through her mask. That's not Naruto, she growled. Gwen frowned. What? But he's your best friend. Sakura's voice was steel. He forgot Chan, and his smile's wrong. His eyes, they've got a red tint. Gwen's glare locked on the imposter. The fox demon. Sakura shook her head. Not Kurama. This isn't him. The fake Naruto smirked, knowing he was caught, and charged. Sakura braced to dodge, but he threw a smoke bomb, gray clouds swallowing them. "Gwen," she called, coughing. "I can't see you." Gwen's voice was faint. "Here." Ben's shout joined in, with another girl, Julie. Sakura guessed. "Julie, can Ship see?" Julie's reply was grim. "No, he's blind in this." Sakura closed her eyes, letting her senses stretch. Not left, right, behind, or above, then where? A spark of chakra flared at her back. She smirked, raising her fist to slam the ground, ready to shatter it. Pain exploded through her before she could strike, her body locking up, paralyzed. She collapsed, gasping, as the fake Naruto loomed closer, his smirk cruel. The smoke cleared, and Gwen's scream cut the air. "Sakura!" She followed a trail of blood, her heart stopping when she saw her friend pale, a katana not hers piercing her chest. Kevin dropped beside her, cradling her, his voice breaking. "Sakura, come on. You're not hurt. Heal it, please." Tears escaped, betraying his tough act. Ben, Gwen, and Julie scoured for the imposter, but he'd vanished. Ship, Julie's alien pet, whined sadly, then shifted to a tiny plane, zooming off to scout. Sakura's smile was weak, blood staining her lips. "Kevin," she whispered, her hand reaching for his cheek. It fell limp before it got there, her eyes fluttering shut. Kevin's sob was raw, clutching her tighter, as Gwen's tears fell silently. Far across the stars, a hulking figure watched on a screen, his growl shaking the ship. Vilgax's eyes burned. "Stupid ninjas think they can escape me," he snarled, hurling a trembling alien lackey at the monitor. "Uchiha may have fooled them, but not me. We attack now." Back on Earth, a girl's voice rang out, sharp and furious. "Let go of me." She stomped hard on her captor's foot, glaring up at him, a boy her age, his grip unyielding. "I'm not going with you, so get lost." Her words echoed, fierce and unbroken, as the night closed in around them. The growl of Kevin's green car faded into the Bellwood night, his gruff whatever lingering like a storm cloud as he sped away from Ben's house. Sakura sat cross-legged on her new bed in Gwen's guest room, the soft quilt beneath her a stark contrast to the rough sleeping mats of Konoha. Her hakama lay folded neatly on a chair, its black fabric catching the moonlight, but her heart ached with a homesickness that cut deeper without Naruto's loud laughter or even Sasuke's icy glares to ground her. She traced the edge of her umbu mask, a gift from Niji, its swirling patterns a reminder of friends she might never see again. A knock jolted her from her thoughts. "Come in," she called, her voice steadier than she felt. Gwen peeked in, her orange hair glowing under the hallway light. "Hey, Kevin's calling us to Mr. Smoothie. You up for it?" Sakura managed a nod, grabbing a borrowed jacket from Gwen's closet. A smoothie sounded like a distraction from the weight pressing on her chest, and she wasn't about to mope alone. They headed out, the cool night air brushing Sakura's face as they walked to the neon-lit smoothie joint, its sign flickering like a beacon. Kevin's car was parked out front, its green paint gleaming, and he leaned against it with Ben, both waving as the girls approached. Ben flashed a grin at Gwen. "Wanna help me grab the smoothies?" Gwen raised an eyebrow but nodded, and they disappeared into the shop, leaving Sakura blinking in the parking lot. "That's odd," she muttered, brushing pink hair from her eyes. "Ben's gotten smoothies a dozen times and never needed a sidekick." Kevin cleared his throat, his usual smirk replaced by something softer, almost nervous. "Sakura, can you come with me for a sec?" His dark eyes held a sadness that stopped her questions cold. She nodded, following him away from the bright lights to a quiet park down the street. The sky was a masterpiece, swirls of orange, red, and yellow painting the dusk, like a sunset straight out of a dream. Sakura's breath caught at its beauty, but Kevin's silence was heavier than the colors above. She couldn't stand it. "Kevin, Why'd you bring me here? She asked, her voice cutting the stillness. He stopped, turning to face her, his height forcing her to tilt her head up. His frown was deep, his eyes a storm of emotions she couldn't quite read. Sakura, he said, low and rough, I don't want you to go back. Her heart stuttered, then flared with defiance. Why not? She demanded, green eyes narrowing. Konoha's my home. Kevin nodded, like he'd braced for her fire. I know, but you'd be incredible here with us, part of the team. She shook her head, pink hair swaying, her glare sharpening. His voice broke, raw and urgent. Sakura, I love you. If you leave, I don't know how I'll keep going. You're beautiful, strong, perfect even when you're stubborn or snappy. That's what I love most everything about you. Sakura's gasp was soft, her eyes widening as words tangled in her throat. Kevin pressed on, his cheeks reddening. You're smart, brave, cool, a total badass. I'd die for you, Sakura. Stay here, please. You won't regret it? Her mind raced, but her body moved first. She rose on her tiptoes, her lips crashing into his. Kevin froze, then melted, kissing her back with a warmth that felt like home. Tears slipped down her cheeks, hidden by closed eyes, but he felt them, his hands gentle on her face. The kiss deepened until their lungs begged for air, and they pulled apart, faces flushed brighter than the sunset. Parkgoers clapped, their cheers a soft hum, and Sakura's shy laugh broke the tension. Kevin started to speak, but she pressed a finger to his lips, her smile radiant. You talk too much, she teased, and they kissed again, the world shrinking to just them. Neither noticed the shadow across the park, where red cherry non-eyes glowed with fury. Suzuki's smirk was a blade, cold and precise. His Sakura, claimed by some Bellwood punk? He'd planned to fake her death to outsmart Orochimaru and Vilgax, but now Kevin 11 was on his list. That nobody would pay, and Sakura would be his no matter what it took. Days passed in a blur, Sakura's heart lighter with Kevin's hand in hers as they roamed Bellwood with Ben and Gwen. The pair had hooped when they heard about the kiss, Gwen with a hug, Ben with a nice one, dude. But they'd also warned of Trouble's habit of sniffing out their town. One morning, Sakura woke groggy in Gwen's guest room, her pink hair a chaotic nest, drool smudging her cheek. She groaned, green eyes half-lidded, craving just 10 more minutes of sleep. Then a spark of chakra hit her like a kunao feint. Wrong. Predatory. She sprang up, yanking on her hakama and strapping on her umbu mask, its familiar weight steadying her nerves. Her katana gleamed as she grabbed it, darting to Gwen's room and flicking on the light. Gwen, up, she whispered, urgent. Something's here not friendly. Gwen mumbled, rubbing sleep from her eyes, but nodded, throwing on clothes. Sakura dialed Ben and Kevin, her tone sharp. They're on their way, she told Gwen, pocketing the phone. Complaining about needing more than boxers, typical boys. Gwen's giggle was brief, cut short as Sakura's gaze hardened. It's in the house. Gwen's breath hitched. My parents, she started for the door, but Sakura caught her wrist. He bypassed their room. It's not them he wants. They spotted a cracked window, exchanged a glance, and slipped out, landing silently on the lawn. Still tailing us? Gwen whispered. Sakura nodded, her mask hiding her clenched jaw. A figure stepped into view, blonde hair, whisker marks, blue eyes. Naruto. Sakura's heart leaped, and she tackled him, tears soaking her mask. You're back. How? I missed you so much. He hugged her tight, grinning wide. Missed you too, Sakura. But his eyes flickered, and a chill ran through her. Sakura-chan, he added, and her blood froze. She shoved him away, katana flashing as she glared through her mask. You are not Naruto, she snarled. Gwen frowned, confused. What? He's your best friend. Sakura's voice was ice. He forgot Chen at first, and his grin's off. His eyes have a red tint, not Kurama's red, something else. Gwen's glare joined hers, pinning the imposter. The fox demon. Sakura shook her head. No. This is a fake. The false Naruto's smirk confirmed it, and he lunged, faster than she'd expected. Sakura moved to dodge, but he tossed a smoke bomb, gray clouds choking the air. Gwen, she coughed, straining to hear. I'm here. Gwen called back, faint. New voices joined Ben's, and a girl's, maybe Julie. Can Ship see through this? Ben asked. Julie's answer was grim. No, he's as blind as us. Sakura shut her eyes, letting her ninja senses take over. No chakra left, right, above, or behind and where. A flicker sparked at her back. She grinned, fist raised to smash the ground and flush him out. Pain erupted before she could strike, a sharp jolt paralyzing her. She crumpled, gasping, as the fake Naruto loomed, his smirk cruel under those borrowed whiskers. The smoke thinned, and Gwen's scream pierced the night. Sakura. She followed a trail of blood, her heart lurching when she saw her friend pale as death, a katana not Sakura's buried in her chest. Kevin dropped beside her, his hands shaking as he pulled her close. Sakura, no, come on, you're fine. Heal it, please, he begged, tears breaking through his tough guy mask. Ben, Gwen, and Julie, a new face with dark hair, scanned for the imposter, but he'd melted into the night. Ship, Julie's alien pup, whimpered, then shifted to a tiny plane, buzzing off to hunt. Sakura's lips curved weakly, blood staining them. Kevin, her hand reached for his cheek, trembling, but fell short, her eyes closing. Kevin's sob was raw, his arms tightening around her as Gwen's silent tears fell. Across the stars, a massive figure watched via a flickering screen, his growl rattling his ship's walls. Vilgax's eyes blazed with contempt. Foolish ninjas think they can slip my grasp, he roared, flinging a cowering alien minion at the monitor. Uchiha may play his games, but I'm no pawn. We strike now. On Earth, a girl's voice sliced through the dark, fierce, and unyielding. Let go of me. She drove her heel into her captor's foot, a boy her age with a grip like iron. I'm not yours, so back off. Her defiance rang out, unbroken, as shadows swallowed them both. Suzuki's hiss cut through the Bellwood night like a sharpened kunai. Stop, Sakura, he snapped, his Sharingan eyes narrowing as he gripped her arm tighter. She ignored him, her voice rising in a furious rant, pink hair flying as she twisted against his hold. Your stupid plan might have fooled those half-alien kids, Suzuki, but you're not as clever as you think. His smirk flickered, a shadow of his old arrogance, and it hit her like a spark. She blushed, then glared harder, her green eyes blazing. Traitor, she screamed, the word raw with years of betrayal. Suzuki's patience frayed, his mind caught between annoyance and doubt. He'd orchestrated the fake Sakura's death to trick Vilgax and Orochimaru, but her defiance was unraveling him. For a moment, he thought she'd stopped fighting, her body stilling. Maybe she still cared, deep down. He was dead wrong. Tears burst from her, loud and wrenching. Why are you doing this? She sobbed, her voice breaking. I love Kevin. It's not fair. Suzuki froze, his usual knack for silencing people useless against her pain. Sakura, stop crying, he muttered, loosening his grip to turn her around. Before he could, she spun free and bolted, faster than she'd ever been as a kid. Suzuki cursed, chasing her through the streets, but Sakura's focus was razor sharp. She had to find Kevin, Gwen, Ben, anyone. Her mind flashed to Suzuki's trick, swapping her with a half-dead clone to fake her death. If her friends got too close to it, things could get messy. His chakra pulsed behind her, relentless, and she pushed more into her feet, speeding up. The streets grew crowded, pedestrians clogging her path. Perfect. She wove hand signs snake, ram, tiger, and 2 sakuras appeared in a puff of smoke. Lose him in there, she told her clone, nodding at the crowd. It nodded back, pink hair vanishing into the sea of people, while the real Sakura leaped to the rooftops, circling wide. Suzuki landed near a gasping couple, his sudden drop startling them, but he was gone before they could blink, vaulting over the crowd. He'd spotted the clone's bright hair too obvious, even for her. You think you can fool me, he muttered, a cat and mouse game he intended to win. Meanwhile, Kevin sat in an alley, clutching the fake Sakura's body, her lifeless green eyes staring back, pink hair matted with blood. His heart tore apart, anger and grief choking him. He laid her down gently, absorbing the concrete beneath him, his skin hardening to match. He stormed toward Ben, Gwen, and a new girl Julie. He vaguely recalled his face a mask of rage. We find him, Kevin growled, voice cracking. I'm ripping his heart out. Gwen winced, Julie's eyes widened, and Ben reached for his shoulder. Kevin, calm. Kevin slapped his hand away, the cement hard skin stinging Ben's palm. Ben flinched but pressed on. We'll stop him, man. Kevin's glare softened, seeing their pity, and he let his skin revert to normal. Sorry, he mumbled, just as Julie shouted, Kevin, watch out. He spun too late. A figure tackled another out of the air. Kevin's jaw dropped. Sakura, the real Sakura, yanked a katana from the fake's bloodied hand, stabbing it. The clone vanished in a puff, leaving gasps in its wake. Sakura stood, her hakama torn, and locked eyes with Kevin for a heartbeat before turning to glare at Suzuki, who'd appeared across the street. His smirk was cold, katana drawn and pointed at her. Come with me, Sakura, he said, voice smooth. Leave now, and your friends stay safe. Inside, Suzuki cursed. Vilgax and Orochimaru wanted her dead, and his plan to fake it was crumbling. Worse, he'd never consider Karen as a backup. Sakura was the one he'd chosen, even if he'd never admit it aloud. Sakura's glare was fire. How dare you make Kevin think I died? You broke my heart years ago, Suzuki. I stopped loving you then. She flipped him off, bold and unladylike, and Julie let out a low whistle, impressed. Suzuki's calm cracked, but before he could retort, a massive green and black shape loomed, a spaceship, its shadow swallowing the street. Julie waved up at it, grinning. Hi, Sakura. I'm Julie and that's Ship. Sakura managed a smile, then glared at Suzuki. Touch me again, and I'll rip your arms off. She crouched, whispering to Ship, catch me when I call, okay. Ship chirped, and Sakura front flipped off, plummeting towards Suzuki. His eyes widened. He knew that move. He dove aside just as her chakra-charged fist slammed the ground, cratering it like her clones had. Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and Julie gasped. Not helping, guys. Sakura called, smirking. This is my fight. She wove signs ox, dog, snake muttering, bunshin no jutsu. 3 Sakuras charged Suzuki, who tried to sense the real one. He blocked their punches with ease, but one dropped low, sweeping at his legs. The real Sakura sprang up, her clones vanishing. Kanashibari no jutsu, she whispered, locking his body with a paralyzing stare. Suzuki recognized it. They'd faced it together against Orochimaru, but what she showed him froze him cold. A vision of his clan, alive, laughing, with her beside him. He stood, stunned, and she seized the chance, landing a chakra-enhanced punch to his gut. He crashed through a store's brick wall, dust billowing. Kevin smirked. Ben cheered. Kick his butt, Sakura. Gwen joined in, their voices a chorus of support. Suzuki rose, his Sharingan now a star-shaped Mangekyo, its black pinwheels chilling Sakura. She'd heard Kakashi describe attack as, but this was new, dangerous. Sasuke inhaled deeply, fingers at his lips. Katon, Gukakyo no Jutsu. A massive fireball roared toward her, too close to dodge. Her eyes widened, but Chip swooped in, snatching her from the flame's path. She exhaled, relieved. Close one, she muttered, grinning as Ben and Gwen's jeers echoed below. Kevin watched, heart pounding. Every glance Sasuke threw Sakura made him want to drag her away, keep her safe forever. She was his world now, and losing her would break him. He'd told her as much. Sasuke, undeterred, tossed Kunao, exhaling smaller fireballs that fused with them, a deadly swarm. Sakura dodged, whispering to Ship, "Be careful." She leaped off, landing lightly, and the fight became a dance: punches, kicks, each blocking the other with equal skill. Sasuke broke away, hands flashing, snake, dragon, horse, ram, bird, dog, ox, rabbit, monkey. Sakura's eyes tracked them, her mind racing. Chidori, she breathed, recognizing stage 2. Electricity crackled around Sasuke's hand, a wild, sparking orb. He wasn't aiming to kill, he needed her alive to return to their world, but this would end it fast. He charged, the Chidori screaming. Before he reached her, a shadow loomed, a colossal spacecraft blotting out the stars. Sasuke let the Chidori fizzle, staring up as a figure dropped from it, growing larger until it crashed, cratering the street. Sakura's eyes widened. What is that? The figure rose tall, squid-faced, a nightmare of muscle and menace. Ben's voice cracked. Vilgax. How are you alive? Vilgax's glare shifted to Sakura, and before she could react, his hand clamped around her throat, lifting her like a rag doll. She clawed at him, gasping, but his grip was iron. Sasuke's katana flashed, pointed at the alien. Drop her, he hissed, his voice deadly calm. Vilgax sneered, tossing her aside to face him. Stupid human. I knew you'd never kill her. Sakura hit the ground hard, coughing but already moving. She grabbed a kunao, one of Sasuke's, unburned, and lunged at Vilgax, aiming for a weak spot. Her medical scalpel jutsu would have been better, but against this beast, precision was tough. Vilgax swatted her away, slamming her into the pavement. Kevin roared, absorbing a steel beam and hurling it. Ben, as Chromastone, charged, but Kevin panicked, grabbed him instead, tossing him at Vilgax. Hey! Ben yelped, flipping mid-air and face-planting. Julie's giggle rang out, but Ben stood, firing crystal shards that Vilgax dodged. Gwen floated on a glowing pink platform new to Sakura, who hadn't known she could do that, and unleashed energy blasts. Vilgax laughed, a grating sound that made them all cringe. He was stronger, tougher than Ben's old stories, like he'd been upgraded. He flung a device at Ben, latching onto his arm. Electricity surged, dropping him with a scream. Ben. Julie ran to him, but an invisible shock zapped her, forcing her back. It fries aliens or anyone too close, Vilgax taunted, tossing another at Ship. The pup yelped, reverting to his small form, writhing in pain. Sakura, bruised but standing, squinted at Vilgax. Something glinted on his armor, a device, pulsing faintly. Kevin, he's a kick from Vilgax sent her through a brick wall, pain flaring as she hit the ground. Darkness tugged at her, but she fought it, cursing her slip. Kevin's eyes blazed, grabbing rocks, then boulders, then chunks of building, hurling them at Vilgax. Nothing fazed him. Pretty boy. Kevin yelled at Sasuke. It's you, me, and Gwen now. Sasuke's glare was cold. I don't team up. But his mind churned. What had Sakura seen? He flashed to her side, ignoring Kevin's shout of get away. He crouched, muttering her name, his face blank but eyes conflicted. Why did Vilgax want her dead? Was it just Orochimaru's deal, or a trap for them all? Before she could answer, Vilgax's foot slammed Sasuke onto her, knocking the breath from both. Kevin, choking in Vilgax's grip, was slammed down next, the alien's strength crushing. Gwen fired pink orbs, screaming, "Let them go." Vilgax's chuckle was ice. "I'll die when she does." Sakura's eyes widened, locked on Vilgax. "He's the end," she rasped, voice fading as the fight blurred into chaos. "Yo, anime crew, what's the vibe? Is Vilgax about to crush them all, or will Sakura's hint save the day? Sasuke's flipping sides ally or enemy? Drop your guesses in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more What If Anime insanity. Share with your squad, and we'll catch you next time. Stay legendary.